My next guest says he will file a repeal to scrap the bill. Republican Congressman Steve King out of Iowa is with me now, out of D.C. He's also a member of the House Judiciary Committee. And, sir, good morning to you. You know how difficult this process can be. What's your best chance, do you think, right now, sir?
Well, because it's hard doesn't mean we shouldn't go after it. It is hard. And we need to have legislation that will repeal the Senate version of the bill, and we need to act on this while the Senate's debating the reconciliation package, which will not fix all these things that Democrats think it will. I believe that since there were 212 that voted no, we can have as many as 211, since there was one resignation since then, that can sign on to a repeal piece of legislation that can become a discharge petition. If we can get to 218, we can force Nancy Pelosi to bring a repeal to the floor for a vote. If the Senate can do that, and I talked with Jim DeMint yesterday, we have a chance to put a repeal on President Obama's desk and make him veto that bill.
Can that happen? Let me just stop here. Can that happen now, or is this something that happens after a midterm election in November?
That could actually, as difficult as it is, and I don't want to misrepresent it, it's hard, but it's possible to get that on President Obama's desk. And if we could do that, he would veto it, and then we'd have to override it with 2/3. That's very, very, and almost impossible for difficulty. But there's a political component to this, too. We need to identify the people that are for repeal, and it's part of the vehicle that sets the standard so that when the American people go to the polls in November, that they will know that part of what we're asking for from them is a mandate to repeal this socialized medicine bill and give people back their liberty.
This is all on the political side of the equation. There's a legal side, too, that I'll get to in a moment here. But you mentioned it. You need control of Congress. You need enough votes on the Senate side to override a veto. That's not easy. Once these entitlements start, you know, based on history, how difficult they are to reverse. I'm certain you're aware of that.
Well, I'm very well aware of that, and that's why I fought this bill so hard. And I was the last member of Congress to leave the Capitol on Monday morning after the vote, and I couldn't sleep. I woke up and put a request in for a bill draft at the opening of business yesterday. There are others that are working on that same path. We know how difficult it is, but it's 4 years before all of this actually kicks in. So the dependency class that they're seeking to create in order to support them politically is not going to be actually underneath this for at least 4 years. So we have a chance to turn this back. And Bill, my greatest concern is this, that we aren't Western Europe. We're a unique people here in the United States. We have a unique vitality that comes from our liberty and our freedom, and economic freedom is a big part of that. When we take that away, it diminishes our vitality, and it diminishes the extent that we can raise America to the next level of our destiny. This is a big deal. This is turning back the clock on I'll call it the legislative theft of personal liberty and economic freedom in the United States, and it diminishes us forever if we can't do this.
Do you think, is your window between now and November, or is your window the next 4 years?
Our window between now and November is where we gather the foundation to get the mandate from the American people so we can do the repeal coming actually the other side of the election in November. And it may well take until we have a new president in 2012. But we've got to do this effort, or we're going to have to capitulate to dependency forever.
I understand your side on the political equation. What about the legal side? Have you studied that much? And if so, what do you think the best shot is in the courts?
Well, I'm, of course, a member of the Judiciary Committee, as you said, and I'm on the Constitution Subcommittee. And there are a number of different components of this. I think we need to bring them all. And first, there is no constitutional authority to impose this on the American people. That's been spoken to in the previous few minutes. Also, the Equal Protection Clause. This treats people in different states differently. Nebraska, Florida, Louisiana, for example. And there is no authority under the Commerce Clause. For them, there are people that are not going to be engaged in interstate commerce that would have to buy this anyway under this and bringing the IRS in, as well as a violation of the 10th Amendment. So I think we go at it in every place in the Constitution that we can, and I certainly encourage the lawsuits that will be filed today.
In a word, is this possible, yes or no, do you believe today? Or do you go increasingly less confident by the hour?
Scott Brown won in Massachusetts, and you and I beat Kansas. This ought to be a piece of cake.
Thank you, Steve King from Washington.
Thank you.